All right, we're going to
Good start, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're going to spend a lot of time on those games, but the top of the agenda does belong to the pursuit of Alastair Clarkson. So there were no answers for Essendon and North Melbourne today, but there is an emerging timeline that Robbo will tell you about in a moment. While at Essendon, it's a waiting game. The new president has evidently spoken with the incumbent coach while we wait for public resolution.
I copped a bit of criticism probably last year for holding out a contract about direction of the club, and to be sitting here in a bit of mess 12 months later is a bit disappointing.
An 84-point demolition job on Essendon by the Power.
This is a big, massive football club who have been sitting in the dark for too long.
I'm looking at the Essendon hierarchy. Are they ruthless enough as a football club from the top down? When's the last time Essendon were genuinely ruthless as a footy club?
People who make the main decisions at a footy club, if they lose faith in the coach and think he's now not the man to take us forward, well, then it's incumbent on them to remove the coach. Essendon would appear to have lost faith in Ben Rutten, given that there might be a very credible Alastair Clarkson in the wings.
Has your club met, or anyone met, with Clarko?
I have no idea, but if it has, it won't be our CEO and it won't be our staff, because they're locked in on trying to get everything ready for this game so we don't embarrass ourselves like last week.
We've got a long way to gain respect back in the industry. I think we need to show our fans that we actually have a bit of ticker and a bit of spine.
Well done.
The scenario around one of the two interested parties, as it were. What do you know tonight, Robbo? What have you just posted at Super Footy?
I've just posted a story that the Kangaroos, and thus Essendon, will know by the weekend what the Alastair Clarkson will be doing next year. You know, a few people scoffed at the story today about deadlines. There's no doubt that the Kangaroos wanted an indication if they were still in play. Not necessarily, are you going to coach us, but are we still in play? Alastair Clarkson, as you know, flew to Adelaide today, so that was postponed. North Melbourne had a board meeting tonight, and at that board meeting, I think Plan B was put on hold. So they'll know, everyone will know by the weekend whether Alastair Clarkson will be coaching North Melbourne, Alastair Clarkson will be coaching Essendon. It's funny. It's interesting, Jared. He spent a month. I don't want to go over old ground. And Wayne Carey spoke about it today. Not on with Duck, but...
No, but this is part of the push and pull.
I heard you today.
We want you desperately. We want you desperately. You can't flip on us now.
It's amazing.
Interested parties are not observers here. They're participants.
Yeah. And I heard you on radio, and we had our back and forth last night. You're really sort of pragmatic and... He's got to do this, and I'm over here. And I listened to callers today, no, they're here, and it's a really big decision for these two football clubs.
It is.
It defines both of them for the next 5, 10, 15 years. So we're going to know. We're going to know. Do you think he spent 4 weeks with North Melbourne, roundabout? Due diligence, both of them. He's known for... allegedly 4 or 5 days. 4 days on Essendon. He hasn't done the due diligence. He's going to be making an announcement this week.
Yeah. So I guess the only part I would counter to that is there are no tells with Clarkson, so I'm not pretending to know any more than I do. You know as well as I do. 8 weeks ago, it was red hot that Clarkson was keen on Essendon. So who knows? Who knows what's been going on?
You thought he might have stood out. Have you abandoned that?
When you asked me, I said I didn't think it was just North Melbourne and the Giants. And this was definitely a possibility in the background. And here it is in front of him. So I'm not sure whether it is just a shotgun 3 days. That's all.
Yeah, that's allegedly.
I think North Melbourne will be more jilted because they have been so wholehearted and in for a long time. But if he chooses Essendon as a better fit for him... it's entirely his choice.
Yeah, I know, it's always his choice, but, you know, we sit on the outside saying, no, come on, we want to have a say in your choice. And he can say, who in the hell are you? Mind your own business. But that's footy, that's life. You know, it's really interesting, Jared. Have people at Essendon, I'll say it, as the president, the new president, David Burrow, has he been working behind the back of everyone there? Like the internal report come back, Jared, and Ben Rutten is coaching Essendon. Poor game against Giants, slaughtered against Port Adelaide. Bang, you're out, Paul Bradshaw. We're chasing Alistair Clarkson on Monday. Does it happen like that? No. So there's going to be a lot of fallout. No one from Essendon has spoken this week. Probably good for them.
They can't answer the questions.
They can't answer. You know what? Ben Rutten is probably going to have a press conference on Friday. Ben Rutten will probably be the first person at Essendon to speak, Jerry.
Yeah, I hope that's not the case. That would be disappointing if that was the case. He deserves better than that.
I think Essendon should not have a pre-match press conference. And I think the AFL, who demands coaches to talk pre-match, should actually look at this situation and say, no, it's okay. It's okay. You know what? We're not going to ask you about the game. Press conferences midweek with coaches is about issues in the game, their personal circumstance, matchups. You know, what do you think of Tom Lynch and rah? There'll be none of that.
No.
None. So why are we going to put this poor bastard out the front on TV for a bunch of journalists and say, God, you've been treated terribly? What do you have to say about that?
So I hope we learnt a lesson out of the David Teague scenario where he was tortured unnecessarily by his own club, and this still sits with Essendon to resolve it in a different manner to that. Whether that's a press conference tomorrow morning or... So if it's the case that the President and Ben Rutten have now spoken, they should be at a point tomorrow where they're able to make some sort of public statement so that we know heading towards Saturday night what the outcome is. To give you an idea sort of how weird the times are, the spruiker today for North Melbourne was the interim coach, Lee Adams. Who, I don't know whether Lee is there next year or not under a Clarkson regime.
Fantastic.
But wholeheartedly, for the good of the club, making the case for Clarko.
It's out of our hands. I think it'll be fantastic if he wants to come to our footy club and coach our footy club. If he doesn't, we'll get the next best person in and they'll come in. And as I keep saying week after week, we've got a pretty talented group here. We're not perfect, but whoever does end up getting the coaching reins is going to get a pretty unique group that we feel like has got some real talent and can get up the ladder hopefully quicker. But whoever gets that job, I think it's a great job. Hopefully it pulls on the heartstrings a little bit that he was a former player here and understands the culture and the people within this place. And I can't speak for Essendon, but what I can speak is that the people here are fantastic and we've got a good group of players. And if he does come here, I think it'll be a great move. But at the end of the day, that's his decision.
Impressive is Lee Adams.
He's hugely impressive.
They can't let him go. They can't let him go. If Clarkson comes in, I think Clarkson will look at him and say, you've got a lot to offer this group. I'm such a person, Jared, to believe that. I know you're going to say he doesn't. I think he owes the Kangaroos.
He doesn't owe the Kangaroos.
He does.
It's a romantic idea.
Well, the whole world's romance
came to fruition.
No, the Kangaroos have looked after.
They have been courting him to come and coach their club. He doesn't owe them anything.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He owes them. You get one life to live. One life. And during that one life, Jared, you rely on other people and organisations. And at different times of his life, he has relied on North Melbourne to help him. The incident in London, and people say, oh, why are you bringing that up? That was a terrible time and North Melbourne looked after him. North Melbourne, Essendon ignored him, and they said, North Melbourne said, no, you come and play for us. We'll give you an opportunity. That's his life. That's what it is. You can't forget that. You just can't. I'm sure he's not.
If he makes the choice as a favour to an old club, that's the wrong motivation. If he's all in...
What if he's going to Essendon for the money? That's the wrong motivation.
There won't be a difference in the money.